Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's discussion on draft to delivery, manage documents and decisions. I'm Venetia, working as a sales engineer at Decisions. I also have Taylor Hans, Director of Sales Engineering at Decisions. We will be driving you through today's discussion. So, before we get started, I would like to just bring to your attention that the next webinar is going to be on Thursday, 13th of April, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. So are you ready to get your project into production as quickly and efficiently as possible? So this webinar on building a blueprint for your workflow automation success is exactly what you want to attend. We will be discussing on things like how the world of architecture works and share you how we design your project for scalability, usability, and long-term success. We will walk you through what the architecture isn't, and guide you through the process of project planning, platform installation, and implementation during that session. In addition to that, this webinar would give you more insights into the real-time stories of both architecture success and failure to show how you can avoid common mistakes that can cost you and your company significant resources. So don't miss out on this opportunity to learn how to best approach your automation projects and avoid potential roadblocks. Go to decisions.com/events to register today, and we will guide you towards building a successful blueprint for your success. Oh, this one is even more interesting and important, I feel. So that's our customers. So you can see we are hosting Decisions Days on May 22nd to 24th, 2023. So Decisions Days is a premier event which is available for all of the process developers, automation leaders, decisions customers, partners, and developer community. So this event is hosted at Virginia Beach, Virginia at Marriott Oceanfront. So please feel free to reach out to any one of us or register to this event, and make sure you are available through May 22nd to 24th to know about the real world stories, as well as how we do handle these things at ease. So you can know more about this session or register to this event by going into decisionsdays.com. So please feel free to register. I promise that you would be getting a unique experience as well as opportunity by taking a keynotes, as well as getting into interactive workshops and connecting with automation experts to share success stories around the best practices. So finally, we will save some time for the Q&A, but you don't have to wait for that to ask your Q&A. Feel free to use the Q&A or the chat questions in the Zoom to submit your questions at any time. You can also raise your hand or come off your mute towards the end to ask these questions. So we will seek to answer them as they come in. We would like to keep this as interactive as possible, so I urge you to ask as many questions as possible. All right. So today's agenda is going to be very simple and very interesting. We would be just taking you a tour on who we are and what we do as a company. Then I will be taking you on how we can manage documents on decisions. In the next couple of minutes post that, I would also be taking you through live demonstration where we will be seeing some simple applications which have been built on decisions, and then that covers around the document management. And then we would also take a look at the backend and see how easy it was to build on these applications, which are going to ease our day-to-day lives as well as the processes. And finally, as I mentioned, it would be Q&A. and all about you. Decisions is a 100% web delivered business process automation platform. With our no code, you can automate all of your business processes at ease. So we were founded in 2010. Our world headquarters is in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We also have global operation center in Hyderabad, India, and we have offices in Mumbai too. Our employee base is more than 250 or close to 250, can say, and we have partners around the globe, which is close to 90. Our customer base is in more than 20 plus countries, and the customers are close to 300. So, why are we talking about documents? What's the key, or what it takes to manage these documents, right? Like, why is it so important to talk about it today? So a massive amount of time is wasted every day by people all over the world. We get it, right? So when we try to send some information on the documents, we try to spend a lot of time in finding those documents from our regular Slack channels, or maybe any of the internal tools that we are using, or maybe go back to a printer, get the document printed out, and then we would also go and send these documents through emails, all of the manual process. So as per the Gartner studies, typically 30 to 50% of the time that a person spends in a week is lost while they are looking for these documents or managing these documents. That's why it is very important to know on how efficiently we can manage these documents on day-to-day basis. So how often, right? Like it now recollects to me, like I used to spend a lot of time in searching for Slacks or maybe Teams for finding these documents where they are stored, and sometimes it is hard for me to recollect. Like, so I'm just gonna show you, and you would be wowed to see how easily we can just eliminate all of those things. Moving on. So what we have been talking about managing documents throughout the process. So I would like to take a minute over here and see or detail you on what type of documents are we going to manage. So in decisions, we give you the flexibility to manage PDFs, Words, Excels, and any type of other documents. So today we are going to speak only about PDFs, how we can manage those, as well as Word documents and Excels and CSVs. So moving on to managing the documents and how decisions can efficiently help you in managing these documents is something we are going to discuss. So we would be covering on things like how you can create all type of documents right from scratch. You would also be wondered that we can process these documents as well as populate information onto documents. You can also manage these documents by adding logos as well as images. You can retrieve information from the documents. You can also convert these documents from one format to the other. Similarly, like let's say I don't want these documents to be editable by everyone, and you want to make it as a read-only version or maybe have a password protection. So it's also taken care of. So we give you that flexibility to make these documents read-only and add passwords around that. So these are the high-level functionalities, but you would find a number of options around how we can manage these documents throughout the process. So let's get into each one of them. So typically PDFs and Words are the same. So it's just like I wanted to touch base on one of these. So I'll be covering quickly on PDFs and then taking you through Word as well. So in these, we will be discussing about how we can create these documents, how easy it is to manage these documents and extract information from the documents, that is PDF and Words, how you can actually split or merge documents. It can be a PDF or Word, and how we can make PDFs or Words as a fillables. And then we would also be speaking about the read-only options that can be enabled on the PDFs and Word documents. So let's go ahead and take a deep dive into the platform. Again, I just wanted to summarize that we would be covering over here on how we can create the PDFs, extract information from a PDF documents, merging a PDFs, or maybe how we can make them read-only, touch base on pointers like how we can make them as a fillable documents, etc. Hey, we have some, looks like we have some questions in the Q&A. All right. Thank you guys for, okay, this one is a recording. Got it. Thanks for making this as interactive. Thanks, Manjeet. Okay, let me just go ahead into the back of Word. And as I promised, this is the fun part. And you can see my screen, which would now show you an Agile Company logo on the top. So this is a simple application that where has been built on decisions. So imagine this as your day-to-day process. Like let's say you might have when stepped into a bank and you are trying to fill some information related to your personal information. And then if a contract document is being created, they might be sending you some documents throughout the process. Like how can you manage those documents without someone sending you back and forth emails? How can it all be manually uh, eliminated with from the manual process, and we can automate it end to end, is something which we are going to discuss. So let's go ahead and get started. And over here, you can see I'm able to see a quick form. So this can be any type of form. So we do not restrict you to pass in information from forms, but this is just one way where the user, typically when I try to enter some information, I like it to be on a form. So I'm just using a form. So I can enter my information and use the same information to be populated in my PDF document. And as you see, I have certain information pre-filled. This is because Decisions has the capability to look into the people who has logged in and automatically bring that information right in front of us. Again, it reduces the manual efforts or the intervention that is required. And I'm going to enter some of my address details over here. And as I enter the zip code, again, you can see the city and state details got automatically populated. So while entering a form or maybe an application, I would like to have these things automatically entered, right? And it would be cool without much of effort. If I get to see these things, it's really lessens my efforts and also enhances my user experience. So that's something you can definitely get from the platform. And as I click on validate address, this would allow you to make a live API call with external services and update the address as per the formats. So you can see over here, we have updated it as per the USPS database format. So this is a live call that happened with USPS, that is United States Postal Service System, and looked into the address format in the database and returned to us with a valid service format. And as I click on continue, this is the form where I would be filling in further more details. So over here, as I mentioned, I would be applying for an instrument insurance, and I'm trying to fill my basic application details earlier. And over here, I'm trying to add my instrument details. So imagine this can be any type of process. It need not be your instruments or maybe insurance application. It can be a simple document where I need an approval. So you can have those document information being entered, and it can be routed to your department heads, or it can be routed to a different person who is a part of those approval chains. So you can have the options, n number of options without any limitations over here. So as I select the type of instrument, again, you can see The estimated premium is something that we are going to see on the document too. So this is calculated on real-time basis based upon the information that as a user, I enter, and the estimated premium gets updated. And you can notice the purchase and replacement cost as I enter, the premium is getting adjusted on real-time basis. One more example, you can see I can also handle any type of other images or maybe documents that I want to pass throughout the flow. So I can just add images, and it can be any type of documents. You can have an Excel file, or you can have any type of AutoCAD files, etc. So you can just append those documents throughout the process and send it to the next part in the process. And over here, I'm just uploading an image. And as I upload an image, again, a live API call is made to machine learning engine at Google, which means like, this is just to demonstrate we can integrate with those external tools, which are going to be key as part of your document management systems, and take all of the information or maybe display all of the information that is relevant to that particular process. So you can see this is a guitar. So we have received a high accuracy confidence from our external service. And as I click on continue, here is the document, it has all of the fields that got generated. So this is a basic contract document, and you can see my name as well as other information being populated right over here. So this one is basically the fillable PDF that got created dynamically based upon the values that we entered. So as a user, I can just download this document, or if I don't want that or move it to a next process, I can just click on close, and this would move to the next process in the queue. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on close right over here. And now let's take a look into the backend and see how this application has been built. So right over here, I'm navigating into the Decisions Designer Studio. So the orange bar on the top indicates that we are in the Designer Studio. So everything in Decisions is permissions driven. So you can control the permissions of the people who have been navigating into this site, and based upon the permissions, they would be able to get into that particular project or maybe the flow that they have been given access to. So this is the flow that I want to take you into. You might be familiar with this flow because this is the exact flow that got triggered when we clicked on that Get Started button, the document management flow. So you can see the applicant info form as well as policy details form. And once the user submits, they can just see that document which gets created. So workflows in Decisions are completely flexible. Initially you would have a blank canvas where you can add those steps or maybe designer elements that you intend to have in your process and get the desired outputs. So for example, over here, as you see on the left-hand section, we have the steps toolbox that would allow the user to pick their particular step. Since this is the document management, I would like to see all of the steps or maybe how I can manage my documents. For example, the PDFs. So let's get into the data, and everything in Decisions is no code, as I mentioned in my earlier slides. So we deal with no code. So you can see right under data, we have in a basic English terms with PDF, and there are steps around these things. Like for example, you can get PDF form fields or you can get text from PDF, which would extract text from your PDF. But for now, I want to fill my PDF or maybe set PDFs from fields. And for that, I'm just going to go ahead and use set form fields. So this step is just allowing you to create your PDF by allowing you to pass in those fillable information into these PDFs. So I'm just going to connect this one, set PDF form fields, to start the step to this one. And now let me just go ahead and use a sample file. Okay. So over here, I'm just going to go ahead and click on downloads. and select that contract document. And this contract document is going to be like a non-editable PDF. So you can see the name, everything is empty right over here. So this is exactly the document that I'm going to furnish over here. And now you can see as soon as I uploaded the document, all of those fillable fields have been automatically extracted by decisions. This step would automatically do that for us. And you can pass the city info. It can be a constant info. Let's say I just want to pass in a constant information. And sometimes, let's say you want to pass it as a dynamic. Something is coming from a external database connection, or like a PDF, like a form fillable element that we just filled our information earlier. So I'm just going to go ahead and select that in case if that exists. But over here, I'm just not going to do that. I'm just going to ignore all of those fields. I'm just going to ignore. Let's say for name, I'm just going to give one Tyler. And now on the PDF, I'm just going to pass in the same file just to showcase that this is the file that I'm expecting to see as a return. And then over here, I'm just going to ignore those other elements or attributes just to showcase the capabilities for you. And now we have our step ready. This is good. So now let's see how we can display this information. So let me just go ahead and use the show form, which would allow us to see that particular PDF that got generated. I'm just going to use on the right hand section, we have properties that would allow us to pick or create a form. And now I'm just going to use pick so that I don't want to create something from scratch. I just want to use which is being given to me. So you can see I now have that form, which I would just display the document, and I need to pass in that document right in over here. And as you see, I'm just going to pass in that PDF file, which is coming from this particular step. And that's it. Our flow is configured. So over here, what we are doing is we are trying to send information into our PDF through dynamic way. And now all of those PDF fillable forms are going to have the information that we just sent in. So let me just go ahead and test this. So in regular world, this would be a chaos, right? Like, how do you test it when something you have envisioned is coming into life? So you in decisions, we give you the complete flexibility that you can build as well as test in the same paradigm. So let's say you want to make some of the changes to your existing process. You don't need to do that in a production environment. You can actually do that in your existing development environment without moving it to production. That is using the functionality called debug, which allows you a rigorous way of testing. So right on the top, you have an inbuilt testing functionality that would allow you to build as well as test in the same paradigm called debug. And over here, you can pass in your own sample data or maybe set some unit tests. Let's say you are going to do this as a rigorous testing and you don't want to define those inputs every time that you want to test. So you can configure your sample data or maybe set your expected outcomes under the unit test and run all of this at any point of time to see how the results gets executed. So I'm just going to go ahead and start debugging because I don't need any sample data or any information because we already defined that inside our flow. So I'm just going to go ahead and start debugging. And now you would be able to see exactly that form and document with the name Tyler as well as the zip code. So similarly, you can make these fields or the other fields being populated with the dynamic information. You can also set these fields. Let's say you do not want the user to make this as editable. Okay. So you can just use the step called which allows you don't make this PDF as a editable. So you can just make those PDFs as uneditable by allowing the user that particular step. The next question that you might be having is, how do we create? This is all good when we have a PDF as a fillable. So how do I create a PDF right from scratch? So for that, you can use a step called HTML to PDF. And this particular step would allow you to take in information, and you can use a HTML in string, or you can customize these string that goes in by creating an object right from scratch. So Decisions has the capability to give you what exactly you are looking for from this. So for example, I just want to create a PDF, and over here, I'm just going to define that PDF data, which I want to see in my form. So this is a string. I don't have any characterization limits on that. So I'm just good with this. And I can just use a merge HTML text. I just use that. You can have constant too, because if your information is too big and you want to access the data which is coming throughout the flow, you can just go ahead and use the merge HTML or plain text option. I can just say my name. And over here, you can see I can just pass in the flow data, which is available throughout the flow. For example, if I just say I want to display the user email and say, here is your email address. This is how my PDF would look like. And now once the PDF is created, so we have our string that we want to create as a PDF. And now we can pass that exact info into the HTML step. And now you can also mark if you need or if you do not need a page numbers. So I don't need a page number. I can define where I need to have that at the left or right or center. I can just keep it as right. And now I can give my name. Again, this can be also dynamic. You can pass in information. I can just say user info.pdf. This is the name. And once this is done, let me just connect this to the particular form. And now I would just like to connect the failed path to that. So this looks good. So let's go ahead and test this using the functionality debug. And I'm just going to go ahead and start debugging. And here we go. You can see we now have that PDF document which was created right from scratch with the username and the email address of the user. So this is how simple it is for you to create those things. And you can also use custom end velocity steps, which would allow you to write those templates specific to HTML. I do not know much of a coding. So if someone who is more into coding and they want to customize it with respect to the formats, they can use a custom end velocity step, which would allow them to add those stylings and make the PDF look in the templates that they are intending to look like. So if you would like to explore more other functionalities, like how we can set passwords around that, how we can merge PDFs documents or maybe Word documents, all we have to just do is get into data. We have our MS Word, or it can be a PDF. So if I just get into PDF, so you can see we have combined PDF files, which would allow you to combine PDFs. You can add watermarks to your PDFs. You can add headers or logos to the image PDFs. You can delete pages. So the steps are numerous. So you don't need to think about much around these. So let me just go ahead. As you see, we also have things like removing passwords as well as the ability to split the PDFs at any point of time. So let me just go ahead and add a step which would extract text from a PDF. And right over here, I'm just going to connect this get text from PDF. So I just want to demonstrate how we can extract text from PDF. I'm just going to pass that exact PDF file. And also if we want to make a PDF read only, I can just pass in make PDF read only. And this would ask that document, which is a list of bytes. So I can just go ahead and pick that one, which is my PDF file. And I can just say that as a contents. And now we would be just having that PDF file right over here. And I can just say inside this one, I can just build that data and I can just use the information that we are getting in. So that's how simple it is to make on these things. And I can just connect this to the end path for just demonstration and demonstrate that for you guys. So if I just go ahead and click on debug and now click on debug, you can see the orange line over here indicates the path that the flow has taken, and number on top of each step indicates how many times this particular document has, or maybe the step has been executed. So right over here, if I just click on this particular step, view input and output data, you can see the input is a PDF document and the output is the PDF text that we have just received um, automatically, including the page number. You can see the page number is also towards at the bottom. So you can extract the text, you can play around with all of the steps that you have just seen and get the desired functionalities as part of your process. Similarly, with the Word, you can also have things like you can analyze the bookmarks. You can replace a particular text or replace a bookmark with a text value. You can have checkbox fields. You can also create a Word document right from scratch in the similar fashion. And you can also print an Excel file to a PDF, or you can always use a different conversions and convert these documents into a different format. It's very simple and easy to manage. So to summarize, on PDFs and Words, we just discussed about on how we can create documents, how we can actually extract information with these documents, how we can make these documents as a fillable docs and make them read only, how we can set passwords around these documents, how bookmarks can be replaced with text, and how we can add images to these documents. Specific to PDFs and Words is what we have discussed until this point of time. And now let's move on to our next one, which is going to be on Excels and CSVs. That is something which I am personally interested, or I like this more when compared to PDF and Word, because Excel is a lot of data, right? So we would be wondering like, okay, creating documents, managing documents is very easy. You might be wondering on that until what we have seen so far. But how do you deal with large set of data is the key. So decisions gives you the capability. So you do not need to think about how you can process these Excels. Like let's say, for example, in real world scenario, I want to uh, process an Excel file by adding some filters, or maybe my manager has asked me to just extract information around only a specific fields inside that Excel. So this is all manual work, right? If that was an ask. So how can I actually eliminate the manual process and maybe create a workflow or use something automation tool like this, which can dynamically give me information like these are the conditions, this is the Excel file, and how can we extract information? That would be cool. So we are going to see that how we can process information from the Excel and automatically run some set of rules and then create a new Excel file altogether from that. Next, we are also going to see how we can automate emails. So for now, I'll be just taking you to the back end of the application, which is completely built on decisions. So if I just go into this, so this is again an application where we would be sending in information as a complete list of patient records, and the records get serialized or deserialized based upon the category of the patients, depending upon their medical history as well as insurance type. They would be segregated and they would be determined with a set of dosage. So if I just take you to the Excel file, so this is a list of Excel file that constitutes patient information. So you can see we have patient name, patient phone, their insurance category, if they are insured or not, and who the insurer is, and the expiry date. So it can be n number of fields as well as n number of columns. So you don't have a limitation on how much data you process. So let's go ahead and see how we can upload this information and get a medical dosage for each of these patients if they are being given or prescribed. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on Get Started button and now choose that sample Excel file. And I just go ahead and click on Import. That's it. It's so easy. Within a fraction of seconds, Decisions tries to segregate all of the data with respect to each of the patient, run those rules specific to their height, weight, and also their insurance, and check if the insurance is expired or not, who their insurance is, and then define them a particular dosage of medicine. You can see for this particular person, the insurance of file has been expired. So that's why they are not prescribed with the dosage. So you can have all of these conditions being run in the background and your documents being created or routed within fraction of seconds from one stage to other. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on done. And now if I just take you to the back end and show you on the flow, you can see we have that sample records that we just uploaded. And then we are using that step which deserializes the Excel information. So you can find that particular step right under data, which would be under Excel or CSV. So you can map your CSV to a defined object using CSV to object mapping, or it can be a list mappings. You can do that. Or you can add rows to your existing in case if you do not want to map it as a object, you can also want to add new fields or new rows to the Excel that you have uploaded. You can always do that. So you can see all of those information specific to the Excel are right over here, which is a get row or maybe get values from a specific row or a column. You can define all of those things, inserting a row, setting a background color, or maybe making it a read-only or password protection. Everything is enabled right under the steps toolbox, and you can just simply drag and drop those steps into the workflow catalog. So you can see it asks for file data and what type of file it is, the worksheet index, and you can say, I need to look into this particular row, and it gives you the information related to that row. So this is how simple it is to process those records. And once the records are segregated, you can see we are running a set of rules around that. And these are set of rules and decisions. You can see there are different type of rule designers over here. And once the rules are evaluated, you can just create the new Excel and display it to the users. So you can also automate those information via emails, sending it to the users and route it to the right process as you want. Emails are going to be very pretty straightforward and easy. But before that, I would like to show you the other functionalities. Like for example, Decisions gives you the flexibility to export these reports that once they are created, like once you store the information or the data or documents, let's say your manager has asked you, or maybe you want to get that information for yourself to see how many documents are in a particular stage or what's the status on each of those documents that have been submitted. So we do give the flexibility to create your own reports and report on those reports. So for example, you can export these reports as a PDFs or Excels. So let's say I just want to send this a report as an email to the user. So I'm just going to go ahead and find the email step. Okay, just exit out of this one. And now I just have a send email step. And before that, that particular report, let's say we want to run that particular report, which is a run report. I'm just gonna go ahead and add my report. And now when we use this particular step, you can see decisions give you the options to select the type, whether it can be an Excel file that you want to send it as, or maybe a PDF file or a CSV. You can just select the type. And then once that is done, you can just connect it to your emails. And emails are emails, right? Like you can see there are basic from components as well as to components. And now I can just see your documents are ready. And now in the body too, I can just say the same. So we can again use the option of dynamic. And I just wanted to highlight, we can integrate with your Active Directories and also make this emails automated too, right? We are just trying to eliminate the manual process. So even in terms of whom it needs to be redirected, we can have those rules running behind the scenes and bring your existing user groups and route it to the right people. So over here, I'm just going to use it. Hey, Venetia, the documents are ready. I can just see that. And over here, you can see we have the ability to attach attachments. So you can add a single file, or it can be list. So let's say I want to add multiple documents. You can just pass in all of them, or maybe you can add independently each one of them. So let's say I just want to have a constant file. I'm just going to use that contract document again. And now if I want my second one as a report, so I can just pick any of the reports that I have. So I can just use one. And now I can just pick this exact report. You can see I have the report and I can just pass into the user. And now I also have the ability to mark CCs as well as BCCs or select the email templates around. So I can just select the email templates. And now if I just click on debug, you can see we have the email ready, and we can just click on that particular email, and you can see I have my email right in my inbox, and I have two attachments being shared. One is the MI contract, and the second one is the applications that were specific for the month. So if I just click one of them, you can see the exact document that we just uploaded is right over here. So this is like a simple and easy way. So you can automate or make these emails listen to some external events or maybe happening on daily basis. You can manage all of your documents reporting through this way. These are just a few examples, but you can have n number of ways in managing these documents, saving these documents, and reporting on them. So I know we are running short in time, and as I promised, I would leave last couple of minutes for Q&A. So just to summarize on the discussions that we had today, we spoke about things like how we can manage documents, including PDFs, Word. This is not limited to just creating these documents or maybe just updating information in these documents, but it also has other functionalities like merging documents, PDFs or Words, splitting the documents, making it a read-only versions, how we can extract information from Excels as CSVs, how we can automate emails without manual intervention by having all of the document data in it is something that we have discussed until so far. As I mentioned, if you would like to know more about the functionalities and how easily you can manage these things to eliminate those 30 to 50% of manual work, which most of us try to spend in on our day-to-day job, please feel free to reach out to us and dig deep into document management systems as well as other platform capabilities. We have a couple of questions for Tyler on the chat.
Yep. We do have a couple questions that I'm going to go ahead and answer. Can you incorporate eSignature Vitalight, DocuSign, or Adobe Sign? Absolutely. She showed you that earlier, and you can incorporate, Adobe Sign and DocuSign into the integration. It's in the PDF there for signature. The next question, can you ingest a Word template from a shared file store like SharePoint and use as a template to create a PDF with dynamic variables? Absolutely. As long as the Word template is bookmarked and has the different things in standard format, you absolutely can take a template or even a Word document, ingest it from SharePoint or a third-party source, and then pull it in and be able to create a PDF with variables that based from decisions. How do you integrate to a document management system? Multiple ways. It depends on document management system, third party. It could be via APIs. It could be through, us putting a document down there, they read it and return the results back there. So there's a lot of different ways we can integrate with a document management system. It really depends on that third party tool. But we've done it plenty of times where we've integrated with pure document management systems to move things along a process. Does Decision integrate with CMS? Yes, we've integrated with CMSs before. I've integrated with Sitecore before, and it's usually done either through APIs or pushing data to them. With most modern technology with open API connectivity, we're able to integrate with all of them. Adobe CMS, I've never done Adobe CMS, but I'm sure we can, if you'd like to take that offline, we can discuss that more. But as long as they have open APIs, we're able to do that.
And just to add on to Tyler, we drink our own champagne. So we have integrated most of our tools with decisions, and we do all of that on daily basis. It can be any type of integrations, as Tyler mentioned, like with your Slack or Teams, or maybe the external CMS tools, or it can be any others. Decisions is quick and easy to integrate.
You can absolutely have complex formulas. We have the expression steps where you can create those complex formulas and then be able to output the results, and you can save the results wherever you want to. Yes, we can. We can integrate with Tableau, or Tableau can read our database. We can push data to a Tableau database or a Snowflake data lake that Tableau can sit on top of. We also can do a Power BI. Yes, we do support that type of tools. Usually most of our customers use Tableau, want us to push to a Snowflake data lake or a data lake, and then they have multiple systems pushing into that data lake. They can use Decisions to do that also, and then they actually sit Tableau on top of that data lake. We do support CI/CD integration, Azure DevOps or the DevOps tool. It does require a deployment to production, but that deployment can be determined, how small of a point. If it's just changing one rule variable, we can do that, or you can do large deployments. That's completely up to you and your organization and your software development lifecycle. But absolutely.
Thank you all for joining today's webinar, and please feel free to reach out to us and dig deep into document management systems as well as other platform capabilities.